What's up, guys? My name is Muscleman Malcolm. Welcome to the show. I have Dax Harwood here today, and tomorrow's gonna be FTR live. It's gonna be at the WrestleCon Hotel. Doors open at 7. The show starts at 8. It's gonna be a great time. Dax, how are you?
Not too bad, man. Enjoying my first tequila of the day. So obviously off to a great start. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. And one thing you always talk about on like your FTR podcast, and I think is really great, is talking about mental health. So I feel like a great first question is, how are you doing today? How's the mental health of Dax Harwood on Wednesday at 5:30?
Man, dude, thank you so much for asking that. I get so many questions about CM Punk and all this other stuff. I appreciate you asking about my mental health.
Of course.
That was the whole reason that I started this podcast. I had been approached many times about doing a podcast, and I always said no. You know, the market's oversaturated with podcasts.
Yeah.
And I was got up by my friend Matt Kuhn, and he asked me. I said the same thing. I said, well, if we're gonna do it, I want it to be focused. I want the backdrop to be mental health. Obviously, wrestling has got to be the overall theme, but with a backdrop of mental health. Today, man, I think I went to see my doctor today actually,
Okay.
and he asked how everything is going, and it's been better than it ever has. I think I feel like I'm in a good spot. I feel that I can stop and sit back and breathe about my legacy now. I think that was the thing that was, therapy is a big thing for me. And I think everyone should be in therapy, but I found out through therapy, I was a perfectionist. I wanted to be the perfect husband, the perfect father, and what I believe to be the perfect Christian, even though that's not going to happen because I'm drinking tequila, but I think God likes that. I think he's okay with that. But I also wanted to be the perfect wrestler and the perfect tag team. And that's completely unattainable. Perfection is unattainable. And once I realized that and took a step back, it made me rethink a lot of things. And I'm doing great, dude. Thank you for asking.
Of course, of course. And like you also mentioned religion a lot as well. I'm a big Catholic, big Christian guy. I actually got the Our Father right here on my neck. Do you have a favorite Bible quote?
Favorite Bible quote? Gosh, man. I mean, it's very, 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 very cliche. But through Christ, that's, what I think. And I never would push my religion on anyone and push my beliefs on anyone. But I believe that there is a higher power. I believe that there is something more than us. I also, though, in this, could get me in hot water, and you could completely disagree with me. And that's totally okay. That's the good thing about religion. Is I don't think that my God, the man that I believe to be God, is a vengeful God. I don't think he's a jealous God, and I don't think that he he creates people just to damn them to hell. I think that God created us to love. And sounds weird coming out of a man's who's supposed to be a tough ass fighting everybody, man. But I think he did. I think he created us to love. And and he gives us the opportunities to love. And it's our choice and it's our decision to make to love.
Of course, man. And I almost feel bad like transition to talk about pro wrestling. I feel like we just talked about this for a while.
Yeah, we could.
But it's almost like transition a little bit into talking about wrestling. How important
I think God's a wrestling fan. I think
he has to be. I mean, he created it. So
gotta be.
Yeah, God, you're probably one of his favorite wrestlers too.
I am his favorite, yes.
Oh, okay, of course. How important to FTR is it to win those AEW Tag Team Championship back? Because you guys are in a feud right now with the Guns on television.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, I've talked about it ad nauseum about how much my legacy and our legacy, more importantly, means to me and means to Cash. I mean, you can see some of the belts on the wall, and let's see here,
Yeah, all of them.
Every belt, a lot of people call me a mark or whatever for having the belts, but I have to leave a legacy on wrestling, and we have to leave a legacy on wrestling. And the reason is I grew up with wrestling, and wrestling kept me out of trouble. Never once did I. And look, I don't drink it now, but I never smoked. I never drank. I never got in trouble. Never, 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 because my hero was Bret Hart and I wanted to follow his lead. And I loved wrestling. I was infatuated, still am infatuated with wrestling. And I owe it to wrestling to be the best that I possibly can be. And me and Cash owe it to wrestling to be the best tag team we can possibly be. So becoming the tag team champions for a second time, if our future lies in AEW, that's obviously very, very, very important to us.
What is the AEW, not really just AEW, what does FTR make of the Guns being the AEW World Tag Team Champions? Because when they won the titles, I know fans online and in person weren't necessarily the biggest fans of seeing two guys that didn't necessarily feel like were ready for tag team championships to win those titles. So what's FTR's thoughts on them being the tag champs?
Absolutely. I understand that. No, I get that. But whose call is it to say anybody's ready for anything? You know what I mean? The Guns and me and Billy have been friends for a very, very long time. We've known each other for over a decade now, from the PC and on to here. And I've seen those guys, they're younger than I am. I've seen them grow up, and I've seen them get into wrestling. And for a while, man, they were like sponges. They wanted to soak up every bit of knowledge they possibly could. And they came to me and Cash because their dad told them we were the best tag teams. They came to us and asked us questions. And then it got to the point, same thing with a lot of young talents, not just in AEW, but around the world. You get to a point, especially when you get to national television, you get to a point where you think maybe you know it all. And I'm not saying they think they know it all, but you get to a point where you think you know it, you think you've got it down pat, and you stop asking questions. Or when you do ask questions, I give you an answer, and I give you a response, and you give me a yeah, but. That was kind of the situation with them backstage. As far as on screen, the people hated the fact they won the tag titles, and they're what we call heels, and that's what it's meant to do, right? When a bad guy wins a belt, or when a bad guy wins a match, you're supposed to despise them and be upset they won. So I understand where the fans are coming from. And personally, I do think that they could take a little bit of time, take a little more time, and pick the brains of, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but people like myself and Cash, even the Young Bucks or whatever, could pick their brains and soak up knowledge. But if they think they've made it, and hey, at the age they're at right now, when I was there, they're way ahead of me. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. Pat yourself on the back. Like, my follow-up question to that was, what makes a good tag team in pro wrestling? Like, given everything that you guys know, what do you feel like makes a fundamental, great tag team?
With that question, listen, you're nailing all the questions. Thank you for that. It is so different, dude. So we're supposed to only have 15 minutes. We might go a little bit over because I'm going to have to deep dive into this. What makes a great tag team obviously is camaraderie and chemistry, and continuity. But I think today a lot of the guys think that continuity, camaraderie, and chemistry comes from tagging and hitting all these moves, these multiple moves, like shoot him off to the rope, into a drop to hold, into an elbow drop, hold his head to a drop kick, pick him back up, brain buster him into a leg drop, and they correlate that with great tag team. What a great tag team is this: the tag. That's it. A tag match is a gimmick match. That's all it is. And you have to get over the gimmick, which is the tag. And for example, me and Sean have had our differences, but Sean and Marty, as a babyface tag team, they could do anything in the world. They were so athletic. They could do anything in the world, but the thing they did the best was tag. They would take a risk, tag out, take that risk again, tag out, go to the top, come off, boom, hit him again, tag him again. So the multiple tags makes the people think subconsciously, oh my God, they're on the same page. They're a great team. They're one unit. And it doesn't, hitting multiple moves doesn't make you a great tag team. Also, you have to work as one. You have to work as, you can't be selfish. That's probably the biggest thing. Me and Cash, when we started in 2014, the end of 2013, we told each other that, look, we're not going to try to outshine one another. There's no reason for that. We have to have zero selfish ambition at all, because if we want to be the best tag team in the world, I have to accentuate his positives and he has to accentuate mine. And my positives are a lot less than his positives because he's way better than I am.
Yeah, I know the first day that you and Cash ever met, what was the situation? Where were you guys? I'm almost asking for a love story, but in the most manly way possible.
Almost was a love story. I mean, okay. Hey man, yeah, we can do love stories, manly or not. So he and I had known each other from the North Carolina independent scene. In North Carolina, especially at the time, the actual talent was few and far between. Thankfully, I got to hang out with a lot of guys. You may have heard of them, like the Dawson brothers, who were in NWA, who were a tag team in the NWA for a little bit. The guys like Charlie Dreamer, who you probably never heard of, but he's the best wrestler I've ever stepped foot in the ring with. But I got to wrestle with those talents, and the talent, like I said, was so few and far between in the Carolinas. You would hear about who was great, who was a really good talent. And I always heard about him, and his name was Stephen Walters. He's still Stephen Walters in my phone, actually. I heard about him, and I saw video of him because I looked him up, and I always wanted to work with him because he was so good. But we never got the opportunity because he was from the mountains, which is where I'm at now, but I was on the coast in Wilmington at the beach. So we never really crossed paths. But one day we both got booked. It was my first ever WWE extra spot. We got booked for Roanoke, Virginia, I believe it was. And he and I got up with each other through Facebook. We said, let's travel together because we were going to do the Raw and the SmackDown. Let's travel together and try to be seen together because, we would like to try to do something together. So we met, we shook hands, said, nice to finally meet you. My first question was, are you a Brett or a Sean guy? And he said, oh, I'm a Brett guy for sure. And I fell in love immediately. That's the love story right there. That's the A Walk to Remember movie love story right there. But yeah, man, we had a match on the SmackDown, and they put us together. We decided to call everything in the ring except for the finish. We knew the finish. We called everything in the ring. Cash allowed me to call the match because I was the heel for the match. And they said you could go 2 minutes or you could go 20 minutes. We don't know. We'll let you know. Scott Armstrong was a referee, incredible referee. He said, they love it. Keep going. They love it. Keep going. Keep going. We went about 16 or 17 minutes. And by the time we watched all the guys and girls start circling the ring, they'd left the stands and started circling the ring and watching the match. And when we got done, guys jumped in the ring like Alberto Del Rio, Ricardo, Jamie Noble, and they hugged us because it was so good and we had instant chemistry. And from there, that's how I got my job. That's how he got his job. I just started a little bit earlier than he did.
That really is a love story. I feel like I just saw like the origin of a buddy cop movie. I love it.
We just needed a slow kiss. That's all we need.
Should have happened. Should have happened.
Maybe one day.
Maybe. I'm gonna hit you with 3 more questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But like looking back at like the feud you have with the Guns right now for the AEW Tag Team Championship, whenever that match does happen, a lot of fans feel like with the current rumors going around on the internet of contract status, all that, etc., that maybe they feel like the idea of you guys leaving in April or staying in April is all part of a story. How legit is your contract status with AEW coming up in April? Just elaborate on that as much as you feel like you want to.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty transparent over the last year, almost year and a half, dude, about our contract status. We finally got a release from WWE in March, which should be almost now. 3 years ago in March of 2020. And then we signed with AEW in mid-April. And at the time, AEW was offering 3-year deals. Now they're offering longer deals because they're doing so great. The TV station loves them. But at the time it was just 3-year deals. And so we signed a 3-year deal. And, I talked on Renee's podcast, in any podcast I've went on or interview I've done, over the last year and a half, I've said, April of 2023 is when we're done. And it's not because I'm trying to get one promotion against another. I'm not trying to get some kind of like a battle because I love money and money is a factor, but it's not the factor. The factor is what's best for me, what's best for my wife and daughter, and what I think is best for, and Cash as well, of course, is what's best for FTR and our legacy, what we're going to be able to leave on professional wrestling. Money is going to come and money's going to go. I can't stop that. But money is not my deciding factor. And I never wanted to put those two entities, WWE and AEW, against each other. However, if you look back at any of the TV or the story we've done with the Guns, I've never once mentioned anything about our contracts are coming up. Never once have I mentioned that because I didn't want that to be the root of our angle. I just wanted people to feel a certain way. Yeah. And so now, if you get it, if you know about our contract status, if you're a 26-year-old male and you've been following the internet, you've been following my podcast, you know about our contract status. If you're a 12-year-old female girl and you love wrestling and you don't know about our contract status, you can still follow the story. You know what I mean? You understand the story. There's a one whole year. If you look back at it, I had a match with CM Punk a year and a week ago, right?
Mhm.
And at the end of that match, I was walking to the back with Cash arm in arm because he was carrying me out, and the Guns were sitting there. You know, they were sitting in the audience and they were berating me for losing. And now it's a year later, a year and a week later, and now we're going to the end of the story, right? So whatever happens, whether we stay or whether we go, it's for the story. And my plan is to leave professional wrestling, whether it's AEW or WWE or New Japan or AAA or whatever, is to leave wrestling, and this is cliche, better than I found it. And that's all I want to do because I owe wrestling that much.
Is there an AEW sorry, let me rephrase my question. Is there a tag team that's not an AEW that you'd like to see be brought into the company that you guys haven't wrestled before?
Well, yeah, there's a ton of tag teams, but you know, that's the beauty of the contract status. And we have made our decision. There's no pen to paper yet because there's no need to, because we still have like 3 weeks left on our AEW contract.
Yeah.
So there's no pen to paper yet, but that's the beauty of what I want to do. You know, let's just say we decide to sign nowhere. You know what I mean? And we decide to do independent wrestling or New Japan or whatever. I've got all these fresh young talent like the workhorsemen who are in AEW, but I'd like to, JD Drake and Anthony Henry. Violence is Forever. We've tried to make that match happen, but I'd love to work with those guys. The Rascals, is that who it was? The Rascals.
Yeah, the Rascals. Yeah.
I would love to work with those guys and like combine our styles because they're such a fast-paced style and we're kind of a slower, methodical storytelling style. But then again, on top of that, man, I want the Usos. The Usos are the top tag team in the world. And I hate to say that because I want to be the top tag team, but they are the top tag team in the world right now because of their status in professional wrestling, because you could throw them in the first match or the main event match. And I think their characters have developed so much over this last year. And I think our characters too have developed so much over this last year. You got two Southerners, who don't give a shit and we can run our mouth if we need to, and we'll fight in a second. And you got two Samoans who don't give a shit and run their mouth in a second and fight it, you know, if they need to. And so I think the two teams there are made for each other. But then again, on the other side of the coin, I want to have match 3 with the Young Bucks. They've got one, we've got one. Both matches are super highly rated by fans and by journalists. They're 2 of my favorite matches I've ever had, and we got to have match 3, and I want to have it with a story. So, man, there's so many people that I want to work with, dude.
I'm gonna hit you with this one last very important question. I feel like the most important question I've asked you so far.
Let's go.
After a really hard match, what's the drink of choice?
Bruh. Not even kidding. I know it sounds cliche, but it's tequila. Cash and myself, I'm not kidding. Over the last, let's just say the last year, right? Over the last year, we have spent, you could ask anybody in the male talent locker room, because that's where we don't want a private locker room. You know what I'm saying? I want to hang with my boys because I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the earth, but I want to hang with my boys. Over the last year, I bet you money between Clase Azul, Don Julio 1942, Fortaleza, Cascanes, Lalo, all these different tequila brands. We have probably spent close to $5,000-$6,000 on tequila over the last year.
What about the Rocks tequila?
The Rocks tequila is okay. I started out with the Rocks tequila, and we've used that quite a few times. We'll talk about that later. I don't want to get any heat with Dwayne. He might be a friend of mine, but we've spent that for the boys, for the locker room, for the camaraderie, because we love each other so much. And we feel that a closer locker room, a close-knit locker room can make a better product. So after the match, it's legit, straight tequila as I'm sipping here. I keep my drinking I can only drink a drink between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, unless I miss it or something, I have a match or whatever. After the match is when I drink on the road. but I don't drink before and I don't drink after that. But it's because I love the process of tequila. I love learning about agaves. I love learning about how they harvest it, how they distill it. I love all that stuff. And then ultimately, I love the taste too. But the tequila of choice, if I could ever choose one brand, would probably be Cascanes. Cascanes, great brand.
Sounds fancy. Sounds fancy. Dax, this has been absolutely amazing. Obviously, your show's tomorrow, FTR with Dax Harwood, presented by Thuzio, live on Fight TV Plus, subscription at 7 p.m. EST. This has been great. Where can they find you on social media? They want to follow more about what you're talking about, what you're tweeting, and where they can find you everywhere.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think my Instagram is at Dax FTR, and I think my Twitter is the same thing. I'm not really sure. But I do want to say something really quick about the live show, and it ties in with the tequila. I told the guys because Matt asked me, he said, "Hey, would you like to do a live show?" They want us to do a live show. And I said, "Hey, I don't want to spend time away from my family. I did that enough in WWE." He said, well, it would be a great venture to connect with the fans. And I said, the only way I'll do it is if we do it like it's a friend, if it's friends coming together at a bar atmosphere. And that's what I want. And I think everyone's going to enjoy that at a live event. We'll get together, have fun, have a couple of drinks, talk the shit. And yeah, man, I think it's going to be fun. But I think your original question at Dax FTR, I think those are my two Instagram and Twitter handles.
There you go. You guys heard it here first. FTR with Dax, and he loves the Rocks tequila. Loves it. It's the best.
Yeah,
guys. Yeah. My name is Malcolm. This is Dax Harwood, AEW superstar, and we're out.